Happy Wednesday, everyone. I hope you're staying safe out there. If I were to pass the term to you, survival of the fittest, what is the first thing your mind would conjure up? Would it be an animal with long, sharp fangs and talons that could rip the flesh off another animal? Would it be a person with 0% body fat, big muscles, square jaw, determined, ready to go? Is that what you conjure? Because it certainly is what I think of when I think of survival of the fittest, when humans say that to me, because that's what we've been made to believe. I mean, they have television shows on it, survival of the fittest, sports shows, you name it. We hear it all the time, survival of the fittest. Well, in all actuality, nature's view of survival of the fittest is far more subtle than the ones that we conjure up. It really is. And in fact, to help explain it, will help explain why you need to take this not in such a large account when you do your dog training. Don't worry about it so much. So let's just kind of break it down. I'm going to take two of the words, survival and fittest, and just kind of break those down the way nature looks at it. And then it's all inclusive. She brings the two together. Number one, survival is only one of many traits acted upon by natural selection. Yeah, not only does an animal have to survive, but it has to compete for resources. It also has to find a home or a home range. It needs to find a mate. And if it finds a mate, it ultimately needs to reproduce and have its genes carried forward into the population. So that's survival right there. And then fitness is even more subtle than that. Fitness can be described as nothing more than reproductive success of an individual's genes when taken into consideration or relative to the other individual's genes in a population. That's what it's all about. So when we take it all into account here, survival of the fittest, do you really have to be the fittest to survive and to actually be productive for nature? No. I mean, like after all, like you have to have the sharpest fangs and the longest claws, and you have to have the most muscles. No way. Sometimes you can be the smartest, be very clever, be very fast, be very good at hiding. There's a lot of ways. In many species populations, it's the sneaky male that reproduces, not the big old one walking around that we all can again conjure up as survival of the fittest. No way. It's the clever little dude over there in that corner over there. He's the one getting the job done. And not only that, but if you do have these big, powerful animals out there always reproducing, well, you start to have a wee bit of a problem. So here's a little bit of what that wee bit of a problem, I'll just draw it right here, make it simple. Here's what happens. So you got a big old wolf over here. So he keeps reproducing. And he keeps having all of these offspring. Again, they have inheritable traits. So he has powerful genes floating around out there inside of the population. So the population happens to be these little red dots here. So there's other animals in the population. Well, eventually all of these here with the resource holding potential, these other offspring that he has will finally disperse. They'll go away, and next thing you know, they head out here to their own little territories. Again, we have to compete for resources, and we have to find a home, and we have to find a mate, and we have to ultimately produce offspring so our genes can go forward. So here I am out here, I am my father's son, or I am my mother's daughter, and I'm out here making more offspring out here. I have the highest frequency of my genes in comparison to all the other animals in this population out here. So here's what starts to happen, and why nature does not always benefit survival of the fittest is because of this right here. You have this many fit animals, this many animals who can easily win in most occasions versus lose, who are incredibly skilled hunters. Soon, you have enough of those, and you will outstrip the resources. Yeah, all the animals you're supposed to eat disappear. And then wolf turns against wolf. Dog in a household turns against dog in a household. And everything crashes. So it doesn't behoove nature to have all these survival of the fittest animals. Well, those big old long fangs, those gigantic antlers and sharp hoofs, big muscles. No, it does to a degree, But again, she always created what's called an evolutionary, stable strategy. Now, let me have some of these red dots in here. Not everybody gets to use the hawk strategy. Let me have a couple of ones using the dove strategy. How about that? So again, when I hear, and I do hear all the time, and this whole video was motivated by a viewer who wrote in and said, hey, Bryan, what's your take on survival of the fittest? Because here's what I have going on. I'm working with a trainer who's working with me and my 2 male dogs who continuously fight. They fight over everything. They fight over the bed. They fight over food all the time. The one male just keeps taking my other dog's food all the time. And now recently, that same male went after a neighbor's dog. So I asked the trainer about it, and he said, well, you just may have to get rid of the dog because you really can't do anything about it because it is survival of the fittest. That gene is so powerful, there's nothing you can really do about it. Well, no, survival of the fittest really doesn't play that much into pets. After all, you have provided them with a home. And because most of them are neutered or spayed, we don't have to really so much worry about that ultimately producing offspring with its own genes. And we're not going to even give them a mate. Now, they can have competition over a resource, and that happens within households all the time. I said before, competitive aggression is the number one reason for aggression on the planet Earth, whether it be a dog, whether it be a human. It really doesn't matter. But at the end of the day, hey, I'll take a smart dog over a fit dog. I certainly will. And nature will do the same thing. She takes a mixture, an admixture of this and that and this. And evolution is about populations over generations, not an individual. So don't use the excuse that survival of the fittest, and we're not supposed to correct that. Because again, it's not like that. It's far more subtle than the picture that this particular trainer is painting for his client. Me, I'm about control. How about that? Why don't we do that? Why don't you leave this other dog's food alone? Why don't you go lay down over here in this corner and you go lay in that corner? And as far as the neighbor's dog, come when called works out fine. That's called survival of the fittest among dog owners. Heck yeah. You let your dog go tear into another dog, and that dog's owner dives in to try and save its dog and gets torn up by your dog, and you will literally, in the court of law, be fighting for your survival. So we don't want that. We don't want other animals and humans to get hurt, and we definitely want to understand that it's not going against nature's survival of the fittest to train our dogs. No. Not at all. Because just remember, it isn't always that big muscle-bound bodybuilding dog that is running around with survival of the fittest on his brain. Nah, survival of the fittest at the end of the day is very subtle in nature. Very subtle. Just a machine that's kind of in motion, just keeps on going. And if that's all we ever have is all these great animals out there reproducing, then they're passing on winner's genes and more winner's genes and more winner's genes. The next thing you know, you outstrip all your resources and the whole darn thing comes crashing down. So guys, if Mother Nature doesn't make such a huge deal about it, you don't either. Just get back to training your dog. All right? Cool. If you found this information beneficial, make sure you send it to someone that could use it, especially someone that's being fed this little line right here. And if you have any questions of your own, or you want to know what I think about something, send it my way. I'll be glad to post it out here on Facebook Live. Until then, make a great training day, and I'll catch you guys tomorrow.